Welcome everyone. Welcome to the second round of our Clean Tech pitches, hearing from 5 high potential businesses this afternoon. So my name is Anna Cuttress, for those of you who haven't met me or weren't in the session yesterday. I'm on the board of the Victorian Cleantech cluster, and I'm also been helping to organise this event for the last few days. So today we're hearing from 5 different businesses. First up, we have FiberSense. Second, we've got ACE electric vehicles. Third, we've got SunGreen, and fourth, Beyond Zero Emissions. And then finally, we'll hear from Alexum. So essentially how today will work is that each business will get 3 minutes to pitch. They've got a short slide pack, which they'll go through. And then we've also got an incredible panel of judges in the backstage as well, who will jump online and ask questions. So we've got representatives from Artesian, from Faulkner Capital, from Impact Investment Group, Impact Tech Ventures, Climate Capital, and the Victorian Clean Technology Fund. So a really great array of judges. Each of the judges will score the pitch participants on a few different criteria, and then tomorrow afternoon we'll announce the best clean tech pitch at the close of the event. So it's a great opportunity for our small businesses here to get in front of some judges and to get some feedback. And also to promote their businesses. Each of these participants have a booth in the Expo, so we really encourage you to go and get in touch with them, make a connection at their booth, ask them some questions, and give them any feedback that you have on their pitch today. So first up, we have James Stewart from FiberSense. So I'm going to bring James on now. You can switch your camera on now, James. Awesome, welcome.
Hello.
Can you hear us? Yeah, I can hear you. You can switch your camera on as well.
It is, I'm afraid it's taking a few minutes to load up.
That's all right. We can hear you, which is the main thing. So I'm going to switch my camera off and I'll start getting your slides organised.
Thank you. And while we're just getting the slides up, I'd just like to say thank you to the Victorian Cleantech Network for having us, and thank you to the judges for giving their time today. It's a great panel, and I'm very privileged to be here to represent FiberSense with you.
Excellent. Okay, so James, you can still hear me, James?
Yes, I hear you perfectly.
You can hear me, great. So I'm going to bring your 3 minute up on a timer. I'll give you a 30-second warning in the chat once your 30 seconds comes up, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. So when you're ready, your 3 minutes starts now.
Super. Well, thank you for having us. My name is James Stewart. I'm with activities in the US, Singapore, New Zealand, and UK. We are bringing to market a technology that converts existing fiber optic networks into massive distributed vibration and acoustic sensors. The technology we use, I know if you can go to the technology slide, the technology we use is a single unit mounted at a data center or a fiber access point. We don't have to therefore deploy any fiber into the field and no sensors. If you'd like to go to the next slide. Typically, we will use existing telco fiber or maybe fiber from a utility customer. We can lay our own fiber if there's an area without coverage for some reason, but it's unusual. Usually the fiber optic networks are very extensive. From that, we get a raw acoustic file that can cover the entire city as a network or as a grid, or a linear asset such as a power line or a water pipe network. And we render that through machine learning and AI into insights into what's happening in the city. If you'd like to go to the next slide. You can see that the fiber optic networks actually match beautifully to some of the core infrastructure that we use to keep the cities alive and healthy. And this is an example of where the water pipes run in a given CBD. And you can see it's an excellent match with the fiber optic networks. If you'd like to go to the next slide. We really are providing 3 service lines currently: digital asset, digital seismic, and digital city. Digital assets really is about saving lives, so we stop workers from excavating into underground power lines by detecting the activity and intervening. We also use that same service to intervene and prevent strikes on water mains, which means we can cut the amount of lost water and non-revenue water very substantially. We are developing network health asset monitoring services and solutions which will allow us to detect both water mains and water leaks and short circuit faults on cables, which rapidly speeds up repair and allows us to decrease the lost water and therefore the associated carbon emissions, which, as we know, is about 1% of all human carbon emissions globally. So we really are on a mission. The second service line is digital seismic. We already detect earthquakes at some considerable distance, and we're trying to bring a disruptively better method of doing so that will save lives during an event and speed up repair and recovery. And Digital City, our sensor network can detect every single vehicle moving in the entire CBD without putting any hardware onto the car itself. I'd like to go to the next slide. Here's a screenshot of what a digital asset looks like in the field. We monitor in real time the entire network, and we understand using our ML what is a threat to an underground asset and what is not. If you'd like to go to the next, Digital City, this is what the city governments and traffic authorities see, which is the motion and traffic jams of every single vehicle in the CBD. We put a little marker down on the back end platform. This is clearly useful for smart city use cases, traffic management, and allows us to help cities cut their emissions. If you'd like to go to the next slide, that's what the back end of Digital City looks like. You can see our acoustic tracks. Each one of those lines running diagonally is in effect the acoustics coming off an individual vehicle. We can also tell certain aspects of the vehicle, whether it's a bus, a train, a car, and so on, which is very useful for planners. So in short, where we're up to, we are scaling up. We are working with the utilities as much as possible, and I'm here today to represent the company and seek allies who want to help us to save lives, save costs for utilities, and hopefully save the world in the process. We really are very mission driven. We have already saved lives in a number of cities from electrical injury, and we are working hard to scale the technology, particularly into the water companies, so that we can help them cut their bills, save water, and save the carbon emissions that they generate. I shall stop there and invite questions.
Thanks, James. That's your time. Okay, so any questions from our judges? I can see you sharing there, so I'm going to bring you in. Ali, I'm bringing you on as well. And we can have some questions from the audience at the end of this session as well, but we'll be prioritising questions from the judges to start with, so go for it, judges.
Okay, after you, Ali.
Thanks, Patrick, and thanks, James, for your pitch. I just wanted to understand, what's the competitive landscape look like now? I understand that you don't have to, from the pitch, you don't have to deploy hardware, but are there other hardware companies that are doing this? Who are you competing against?
Looks like James is frozen. Yep.
Okay, so it looks like we may have lost James. Are you still there, James? It appears not. So it looks like we've lost James. We might get ready for our next pitch then, unless James, you can come back online. We can save some questions for James at the end, and hopefully we can get James back on.
Yep.
No problem. Okay, so our next pitch is from. Oh, are you still there, James? No, he's still. All right, Patrick, I'll take you out, and we'll get ready for the next pitch. So we've got Greg McGarvey from ACE Electric Vehicles. Greg, are you ready? Yep. So I'm bringing you online now, Greg.
Good afternoon.
Thanks so much, Greg. Lovely to have you here. So Greg, I'm going to manage your slides as well for you.
Okay.
To keep an eye on that chat and make sure that you stick to your 3 minutes. If you go a little bit over, that's okay, but we're trying to keep it short and sharp.
No worries.
Let me just get this up for you. Okay, Greg, so we've got your slides up. You just let me know when you need me to change.
No worries.
You're ready. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Oh, it's got auto on it. You might have to turn it back.
Oh.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for your attention. I'm a little bit concerned. We've got a Wi-Fi moment here for Australia with a vehicle-to-grid solution. It's globally recognised as a first, and we're not going to hold on to it if we can't execute quickly. We've been very fortunate, and I'm sorry about the slides flicking through, but we've been very fortunate. The federal government has provided $5 million in grant funding. They recognise the opportunities with this. Australian Energy Market Commission also endorsed it. And we've got a very clever team working globally on it. And we're not reinventing the wheel, we're just aggregating all the spokes to bring together a clever technology that effectively means that your vehicle can use any power point to charge from. It can perform grid management services and also act as a home energy security package. We've got agreements with quite a number of different groups now, and we know that, like what they've done in Copenhagen, through the trial, we'll demonstrate it, but you'll be able to see monetization through using your mobile energy management system, which is effectively your EV. It's bringing a lot of opportunities to the Australian marketplace, and eventually it will also bring much cheaper prices. And apologies for the slides, they're gone a bit crazy. Hopefully you've seen there the Copenhagen example, and effectively the grid being like a sponge and every vehicle in that grid aggregated to take energy or supply energy. The vehicle is, as you can see there, quite clever. It's 100% composite, and we have another technology behind this, which is also a leading technology. It comes to us from our German and Taiwanese partners, and look forward to questions.
Thanks, Greg. Well in time. Thank you for your patience, everyone, with the autoplay on the slides, just keeping it interesting for everyone. Sorry, let me just get the right thing up. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much. So, questions from the judges. Do we have any questions for Greg? All right, I'm bringing Phil Bailey from Climate Capital in. I'm bringing Charlie McDonald from Impact Investment Group and Joseph Unane from the Victorian Clean Technology Fund. Patrick, I'm going to wait for you for a moment. Phil, you're up.
Okay, thanks Anna, thanks Greg. A couple of questions which are probably related.
Yep.
Firstly, the vehicle-to-grid solution, is that really packaging it up for retailers to offer, given that's where a lot of the services, or alternatively the distribution companies, but I think the overseas experience is that it's mostly the retailers that are driving it.
Okay.
And secondly, just wondering what the mix is, and maybe it was my misunderstanding, but sort of that mix between the hardware and the software services.
Yeah, look, what we're doing is we're aggregating some of the smartest hardware around the globe to give the vehicle the capability as a plug-in vehicle and with bidirectional. It's AC bidirectional. So immediately when I talk AC, you know that it's a cheaper connection point. And we're Bjorn Christensen, who was in the Copenhagen experiment. He's leading our team out of Silicon Valley. And then we've got another communications engineer in Paris, and then he's Australian. He wants to come back to Australia. And then we've got our local engineer here working on it. We're bringing the 2 vehicles in June into Melbourne, and there they'll be aggregating the energy management solution. We're looking at our vehicle as an energy management solution. We're looking at our vehicle as monetising opportunity for the vehicle owner. And we're looking at the vehicle to be virtually like a mobile phone on wheels. It has that controllability. And as I said, it's endorsed by the AMC. We wouldn't have got the $5 million grant if they didn't say, look, this is needed. We want to look at what we can do in the regulatory environment and the grid in the future.
Thanks.
I hope I answered your question. I sometimes get carried away and deviate a bit.
All good. Thanks for that, Phil. Charlie, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the presentation, Gregory. My question is maybe a simple one, but who's your primary customer?
Primary customer in terms of the vehicle?
In terms of paying customer for what you're producing. It sounds like you're producing an EV and you're also producing a storage solution. But who is your primary customer, or is it split between the two? One
and the same, and it's every Joe citizen. I mean, we've got a retailer tied in with us at the moment, and they're part of the trial. And it's effectively you and everyone else. You buy an EV, you get this bi-directional capability with it. You have your own home energy security. If you go and visit someone, they don't need a charger there. You just plug in, and there's algorithms that do some checking. I can't go into detail here. I haven't got time. But our customer is Joe Average. And to illustrate it, we haven't even started production yet. And we've got over $2.5 million of vehicle reservations. And the vehicle itself is proven. They are partners, Gerhard Kerr. He worked on the smart car with Ernst Tomke. So we've got all that genetics in our vehicle. Then we've got Charles, who was one of the key managers in the Taiwanese auto industry, supplying components to Toyota. And I wouldn't even be trying this in Australia, except for the fact that we have those two on board, and it's something quite unique. And it's unique in the point of view that I got invited by the Asia Development Bank to fly to Europe, do a presentation to their finance and renewables forum. I said, why? I said, we like your car. It's a low-cost vehicle. It can be sent overseas as a smart pack, and it also, because of the capabilities with our energy management system, means it'll fit into weak grids. You don't need and we're purposely looking at it that way. The majority of people have their vehicle at home, they charge at home, and the majority of people don't do more than about 50 kilometres a day, which is 6 or 7 kilowatts of energy.
Great, thanks.
So we've got time for one really quick question from Joe. Keep it short and sharp. Greg, we've got the next.
No worries.
After that,
I get a bit carried away. I'm a bit passionate about this.
That's all right. All good.
Okay, this is a really quick question, Greg. I've probably got 20 questions, but just this one.
Well, ask me more later on.
So what is it that you're looking for from us? What are you after? Finance? What's the deal?
Look, what we really need, Joe, is we've got the $5 million from the federal government. We can execute the trial, but it might take 2 years. And in that time, we're going to have other people offshore jumping the gun. We have, as I said before, we've got a Wi-Fi moment. If we can get $2 million in the next financial year, we've got the $5 million now, that'll execute the trial, but it just allows us to bring more software engineers and do everything quickly. I didn't mention, but Optus asked to join us. They're one of our partners. So, and then we've got Sensend Networks in Melbourne, who are our visual artificial intelligence partner. We're happy to chat offline.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Anna.
My pleasure. Thanks, Greg. So the next up we have Tulika from Sun Green H2. Tulika, are you there? Just waiting for Tulika to get online. There we go. So bringing you in now. Welcome.
Thanks, Anna.
My pleasure. So same as the others, you know the drill now. I'll get your slides up. Just let me know when you need to flick through them. You'll get a 30-second warning. Apologies if you can hear my dog barking in the background. Let me just bring that up now.
Thank you, Anna. I would like to thank Victorian Cleantech Expo and the Cleantech Cluster for having me on. Thanks for the invite, and to the judges and the fellow participants on this panel. Thank you so much.
Okay, Tulika, so we've got your slides up. When you're ready, your 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you. So, hi everyone, I'm Tulika. I'm the CEO of SunGreen H2, and very much looking forward out of today's event to really tap into the hydrogen ecosystem over in Victoria and the Cleantech clusters there, including tapping into the Greater Geelong cluster, as well as to enablers within the ecosystem. If we could move to the next slide, Anna, I'd like to explain the problem that we're solving. So we're a hydrogen startup, right? What kind of problem are we solving? So hydrogen has amazing potential to decarbonize industry, transport, building sectors, and really allow us to get on a really net zero kind of pathway. But its dirty secret is that it's highly carbon intensive to produce at the moment. Producing 1 kg of hydrogen, and 98% of the world's supply comes from this, involves fossil fuel reforming, which adds back 10 to 20 kilograms of hydrogen for every kilogram of hydrogen, 10 to 20 kilograms of carbon dioxide for every kilogram of hydrogen created in this manner. So what's the solution to decarbonizing hydrogen production? It's water electrolysis, where you can essentially use renewable electricity to power up these electrolyzers that then split water to produce hydrogen and oxygen. And what's the issue with that? This space and this sector is expected to grow exponentially, but in order to scale up, one of the major issues to be solved actually two are efficiency. The technology's efficiency is inefficient still, and expense. It's quite expensive to produce green hydrogen in this manner. So what's the solution that SunGreen H2 is working on? Anna, if we could flick through to the next slide, please. So we're exactly addressing those two main barriers. We're an advanced materials company, and what we do is we have expertise on the nanoscale structuring of materials and the nanofabrication of devices for energy conversion, which really allows us to achieve very precise performance metrics out of these devices. So what have we built at SunGreen H2? What is our key creation? What is our novelty, and what are we patenting? It's these nanomaterials and electrodes that we have created for electrolyzer water splitting application. And because we're so precisely able to control the performance characteristics of these electrodes, we're able to provide a solution for scaling up electrolyzer technology that uses 6 times less platinum group metals, which is what typically electrolyzers use for high performance. As a result, with 30% lower cost than the best-in-class efficient technology today, our efficiency specifically is world-leading. It's 75%, and we believe that we can improve this further. These patented electrodes that we've created can then be used as the building blocks or the Lego blocks for a number of products, including mainly a standalone modular sort of desktop electrolyzer system, as well as just the building blocks themselves, the electrodes and the electrode stacks, which are, if you like, a sandwich of the electrodes that we've created is a stack. And finally, a very modular, nifty, innovative hydrogen panel for your rooftop. So these are some of the products that we're creating. And if we could flick through to the next slide, please. We are addressing a number of, through our team of material scientists and engineers, we are addressing some key markets for the technology. The first one is on the energy storage side. So we believe that hydrogen, being the only material capable of storing energy seasonally, can really provide a great grid and off-grid solution for balancing out intermittent renewables. If you've got curtailed power that you're cutting out, a great way to store this for seasonal use later and avoid situations like what happened in Texas earlier this year, in South Australia a few years ago, is to store the energy for long-term seasonal storage via hydrogen, convert it back into a fuel cell, and use it when required. Similar to that, building, heating, power, cooling systems. These are responsible for some major amounts of carbon dioxide creations, but when you use a fuel cell and power it up with a modular electrolyzer system like this one, you're really cutting out and having an end-to-end green solution. And finally, mobility, refueling applications. One of our early customers that we're working with on a pilot is they're into fuel cells for everything from drones to fuel cell buggies to buses, and eventually growing larger. So we can start out by refueling the drones, but we expect as we scale the tech to do more. And once again, we have materials expertise. That we're 2 founders, 3 material scientists, a team of 5, 2 electrical engineers, a mechanical engineer. And we are really experts at creating these electrodes, so we can customize these electrodes and work with electrolyzer manufacturers. In case I'm out of time, I'll stop there.
That's your time. You. No, well, you're welcome. So we've got some questions coming from Ali, from Tijan coming online. Patrick, I can see you in the queue. Do you want to come in as well? Go for it, Ali.
Thanks, Tulika. That was great. I just want to understand, you talked about a number of different elements across the hydrogen supply chain. You talked about electrolyzer, then the storage element as well. What is your core competency and what's your core piece of IP?
Thank you for the question. Ali, the core competency that we're talking about is the building blocks of the electrolyzers themselves and the electrolyzer. In other words, it's the water splitting reaction that we use to create green hydrogen relies on 2 electrodes immersed in water and powered with some electricity to split the water into hydrogen and oxygen. Those are the electrodes that we create and package up as stacks or as electrolyzers. We're doing both. So we have the building blocks that we're building into a desktop standalone electrolyzer solution. Underlying it are the electrodes.
Okay, and just a quick follow-up question. So typically alkaline electrolyzers have around 65% efficiency. And I saw in your deck you have 75%. One of the new technologies is around sort of solid oxide electrolyzers in providing better efficiency than PEM and alkalizers. How do you compare to those, not necessarily PEM, but particularly sort of the solid oxide electrolyzers?
Sure. One thing I'll mention as I'm answering the question is that really the technology that we're building, it's an anion exchange membrane technology. It combines the benefits of both the existing alkaline and the PEM electrolysis technology, but addresses the limitations of both. Okay. Alkaline electrolysis is inefficient, which is why the stack sizes are really huge. And you can see that that's going to be an issue as you scale up the technology. On the other hand, PEM electrolyzers are more efficient, therefore the stack sizes are smaller, but they use platinum group metals, which makes it very expensive. And also there isn't enough platinum and iridium supply in the world to meet all our gigawatt scale of electrolysis needs that all governments across the world aggregated are projecting. So we take away and we remove the need for platinum group metals. So that's on that side. When comparing an anion exchange membrane electrolyzer like ours with solid oxide electrolysis, the use cases are completely different. So solid oxide electrolysis relies on high temperature ceramic membranes, as I understand it, and it's a completely different technology. Our expertise, on the other hand, is on the electrode side, where we are using these to immerse them into an electrolyte medium and then split water. And for solid oxide electrolysis, I strongly believe that the high temperature application that this is, it is ideally suited to be used in industrial environments where you have a lot of waste heat processes. Whereas with this technology, as I've mentioned, we're building a desktop-based modular system. It's going to produce 1 kilogram of hydrogen a day. And as you know, transportation costs of hydrogen are about 50% of the final cost of hydrogen. So we're looking to eliminate that and put these electrolyzers at the point of use. And if you want to scale it up to a 1 to a 10 to 100 kg per day system, you simply have to replicate the same stacks again. It's not a hugely complicated exercise. You're just improving the form factor, but using the same basic building block that we've developed. And so we strongly believe that the use cases for our technology are going to be in the decentralized decarbonization on-site applications for energy storage, like I mentioned, microgrids to grid scale as we grow. Same goes for building heating and cooling. You can power up your fuel cell CHP systems with the system on-site. Let's look at Japan. They've got the fuel cell system, the any farm up on rooftops. You can use this instead of steam methane reformers, which are being used now. Let's talk about mobility and refueling stations. We can replace your gray hydrogen needs For cans and cylinders, you can just be independent. As a drone or a fuel cell vehicle manufacturer, you can have your own refueling supply. If I'm projecting out in the future, we have a vision for providing these, as the previous speaker said, for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, right? Buy the car, take one of these electrolyzers home, and power up as you go.
Thanks so much, Tulika. So we'll have one really quick question from Patrick. Tulika.
Okay. Thank you, Tulika. So I'm interested in how far developed you are and what implications there are for the balance of plant, if you like. So what needs to be put around what you have currently to create that hydrogen generator, if you like?
Thank you, Patrick, for that question. Yes, absolutely. So where we are in terms of stages, 50% of an electrolyzer is the stack, 50% is the balance of plant. So what we're producing is hydrogen pressurized up to 35 bar. So removing your first stage of compression, essentially. That's the prototype that we've developed in a single cell and validated and demonstrated. And we're looking to replicate 10 of those now into a stack system so that we go from a 100 grams per day system to a 1 kg per day system. We're integrating the balance of plant as we speak. What we need is a water pump to circulate the water, if you like. We use distilled water. We can use industrial grade water, filter and purify to a minimal level, or tap water. We're taking the tech where we can use seawater in the future. On the other hand, we need the water purification, the hydrogen purification dryer. And as I mentioned, the pressurization to 35 bar is built into the electrolyzer itself. So that's what we're developing. Our goal is to deliver the first 1 kg per system this year into a couple of pilots that we've secured, one in Singapore, one in India. We're very keen to work with anyone who's looking for decentralized hydrogen storage technology or developing solutions and are looking for hydrogen production in this part of the world.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tulika. So
thank you.
We'll welcome our next participant. We have Chun Hin from Beyond Zero Emissions, and this pitch is a little different. It's not necessarily a technology company, but looking forward to hearing what Chun has to say. So go for it.
That's right. Okay.
All right. Starts. Sorry. Your 3 minutes starts now.
All right, thanks, Anna. Yes, hi, my name is Dr. Chun Hin from Beyond Zero Emissions, and I'm just joining you guys today from the lands of the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nations here in Melbourne. And today I would just like to share with you all our idea for renewable energy industrial precincts, our concept in order to repower Australian manufacturing by tapping into our abundant renewable resources. The idea behind it is quite simple. You take clusters of manufacturers from our industrial heartlands, you electrify their processes, and then you connect them to renewable energy zones and have them driven by 100% renewable energy. The idea behind this is to allow them to tap into the growing zero emissions markets for things like green steel, green aluminium, renewable hydrogen, and green chemicals, all of which will be forming key commodities in a decarbonized world. So we at Beyond Zero Emissions see this as a massive opportunity for Australian manufacturers, given our amazing renewable resources, and we're keen to have this happen using our renewable energy industrial precincts. So to this end, what we're doing is we're asking the federal government for two main things. The first is funding for infrastructure. So this is things like transmission, energy storage such as pumped hydro, batteries, as well as renewable hydrogen, as well as things like freight and export facilities. And these will all form the backbone of our renewable energy industrial precincts to allow them to happen. The second thing that we're asking for is funding for the manufacturers themselves. This is to help upgrade their process lines, to help them transition from fossil fuel energy to renewable energy, to upskill their workers, as well as to help Australian innovators, many of whom are presenting today, to help commercialize and take their products from the research to industrial applications. So in terms of our progress, our CEO has recently come back from a Canberra meeting in late March, briefing many of the key ministers in this area, and we had very, very productive talks. We're going back again in May to continue building our case. This kind of takes us to why we're here today with a slightly different ask, and that is to really to gather more support for our renewable energy industrial precincts to bring to Canberra. This can be done via expressions of interest for projects that align with our concept, as well as just statements of support for people who align and see this vision for zero emissions manufacturing in Australia and want to lend their voice to help us take this to Canberra. We are primarily looking for people who are in industry and so manufacturing, but we are also looking for support from investors, from community groups, and any other organization who really wants to drive this message home to have the federal government realize this amazing opportunity for manufacturing right now. The easiest way to do that is to contact us using our email address. So that's industry@bze.org.au. But I'll strongly also recommend you guys check out our website, which has a lot more information, as well as some examples of the wonderful companies who are signed up. I've been told that's my time. So yeah, I'll leave it at that and I'll take your questions now.
Thanks so much, Chun Hin. So any judges, any questions? A slightly different pitch than the other participants, but I think still incredibly interesting nonetheless. And I suspect the judges will have some questions. So coming on, Patrick Mooney from Impact Tech Ventures. Go for it.
Hi, Chun, and congratulations. That is a really significant emerging area, I think, helping companies to migrate to electrification and integrating. Trying to get a bit of a view of how you see the business. Do you see it as in the early days at least, very much a services and consulting business, because their needs would be quite different, I would think, in terms of electrification and...
Correct.
And there's a sort of systems integration element as well.
Yeah, I guess for us at Beyond Zero Emissions, it's more of a systems integration. We really don't dive into the weeds too much because we believe that companies themselves have a much better idea and they have technical expertise. But what our main goal is to really set that vision, sell it to the federal government, as well as states and other organizations like industry groups. And yeah, they have all been very positive. But I guess in terms of the specifics, yeah, we really rely on the technical experts there. But there's lots of people working on this electrification process, lots of ideas, and lots of things have already been done. It's just implementing it and getting funding. Yeah.
Just in that aspect of integration, do you have any particular products or IP there? You know, an API sort of solution, or is it mainly?
Oh well, we're just sharing. We're the idea because we're sort of like a think tank. We just want to share this idea with everyone. So I can say that our main, I guess, projects now is based in the Hunter Valley and Gladstone, two big industrial areas. And so what we've done there is to go to communities, go to the industries. We've been holding industry briefings, just to tell them about what the idea is. And there's been a lot of positive feedback, so they'll sign on. Then we'll go to government and say, like, all these companies are interested in pursuing this. We're talking to energy companies, transmission companies, renewable hydrogen companies, and sort of just building the case for this, and to have them happen as soon as possible.
That's great. Okay, thank you, John.
All right.
Excellent. Any other questions from the judges? Doesn't look like it. So we'll jump into our last pitch for this afternoon. Thank you so much, Chun Hin. We've got Niraj Das from Alexum coming on.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Niraj, okay, so we've got our final pitch. I'm going to get my screen up for you with me.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much to the Cleantech Expo team, and special thanks to Anna for having us on such a great platform where we can present our unique business. We have seen in last 2 days some.
No worries.
3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, your 3 minutes started now.
Thank you very much, Anna. So as you can see from the picture, just to give you a quick introduction, Alexum is a solar panel upcycling company. The first picture is itself in a problem. The initial solar panel installation in Australia started in 2005. Till that time, when we started the installation, and thanks to the government initiative, till date, we don't have any solution that what to do end of life when the solar panel comes to the end of life and what to do with the solution. In terms of numbers, till date, we have installed 60 million solar panel, which will be approximate 2 billion by 2030. That we are talking about the rooftop and ground mounting. Solar panel is a very common thing. We all have seen And it's because the design life 25 years, the recycling or upcycling is very complicated. That was the one of the reason why we did not see any solution till date. But our company, next slide please, Anna. So we are 100% Australian owned and operated, working in renewable since 2009. So we definitely understand the renewable industry very much. Our partners are Australian government, who is helping us by significant grant to bring the first solar panel upcycling plant in Australia. So the first plant in Victoria, you will see by this year end. We have chosen regional areas in all over Australia. So of course it's coming in regional Victoria, and then it will come all over Australia. Our research and technology partner is University of Melbourne and RMIT, who is also listed in the grant. In terms of what we do, our initial success we have achieved by processing 97% of the solar panel, which means successfully we could remove not only the frame, but separate all the element of the solar panels. Upcycling comes after that. Upcycling is converting this separated material and processed material, which you can see in the lower middle picture, is converting into value added material, which can be used by direct public, or which can be sold directly from our plant to the public, like you can say a green building material or green cement, green concrete. That's what is this project is all about. To just give you a bit of introduction on upcycling. Upcycling is a unique process, converting any value, any trash to the value added or to the upper size of the market. For example, it's if you remember converting any trash in your childhood into a toy which you used to play, or converting a used bottle into a very nice flower pot. That's what is upcycling. We can go to the next slide, please, Anna. In terms of process, at this stage, it's very simple. We when the end of the life, we installation wise, by 2025 we will have a significant amount of solar panels. So if we do not do anything about it now, then by 2025 we will start seeing solar panels across all over where there is in Queensland the landfill is allowed. So Queensland, you can see the tips are already full. In Victoria and South Australia, the landfills are not allowed. So still a lot of installers are asking everyone, even the council, that what to do with that and what to do with the old solar panels. So our process would be simple. We'll be organizing the freight to our plant and converting it into the value added, or converting it into the material, processing the panel. So solar panel will act as a feed stock for us. The plant is a unique. It's not only the solar panel. We will be processing the windshield and the e-waste, especially the toughened glass as well. So in terms of a business model, at this stage, the processing solar panel is a significant cost. It's roughly, if we talk about the solar farms, where still we see the 1% of the construction damage, then they pay sometime $100 per panel to include the freight, to responsibly recycle it. Upcycle, when we say recycle, that any company till date in Australia could do only 17%, means 83% either end up in landfill or overseas. Now, as we know that government initiative, the glass and any recycled material to convert into circular economy is going to okay, sorry, Anna. I'll stop now. We'll go to the question. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to us.
Thanks, Niraj. Okay, so any judges online have any questions for Alexam? Yeah, we've got Patrick coming online and Phil Bailey from Climate Capital. How about Phil? We'll go you first when you come in, and Patrick second.
Okay. I am live. Thanks, Niraj. Thanks, Anna. Just interested in what the technical solution is for the recycling component of the business. and whether it's more mechanical or whether it's energy intensive. One of the concerns I've got with the competing solution, which is being established in Adelaide, is that it appears to be based on a very energy-intensive solution. So I'm just wondering where you are on that.
Thanks for the question, Phil. Yes, we know about the Adelaide Reclaim PV, who has been in Australia since before us, we will say. Our solution involved at this stage, we are not spending. The unique thing is we are not spending a lot of time in separating each and every component. So it's a mechanical process where first step is to remove the aluminum frame and cutting the solar panel into the smallest pieces. Then with the pulverizer, it's a bombarding in a way that it is taking the wafer out. The difficult part was taking the wafer out, which is the silicon part, you can say, and then the silver and copper. Once we take that out, then glass we are separating. In solar panel, as you know, 75 to 85% is the glass. So our focus is on the glass, where we are converting glass into the building material. So I hope if that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Phil.
Patrick, you're welcome to jump in.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for that. I wondered, Neeraj, whether you could tell us a little bit more about, whether you've got customers lined up for the recycled product. Obviously, to sustain the model, you need customers who can take volume. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Of course, Patrick. Thank you very much for the question. That's a great question, because when we started this, we wanted to line up being into, our background is we have, as a company, we have done 25 solar farm. We are a group of a company, 25 solar farm where we have supplied cables. So we have lined up Canadian Solar. I don't know if you know, they are one of the largest manufacturer, having 2 gigawatt of the solar installation in their books. So they have given us the 2 of the solar farm. Our initial, because we are into B2B market, so initial pitch is those guys who are the large solar farm owners, and we successfully signed the contract for the Collinsville and as well as Oakey in Queensland, where we are collecting those solar panels to bring it to the plant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just on the logistics, often these businesses, the logistics is a critical factor,
Exactly.
in terms of consistent supply and, managing that as a predictable cost. And so what's your model? You talked about handling the collection yourself. Is that a long-term plan, or do you have a plan for how you're managing that?
That's again, that you're asking all fantastic question. Okay, logistic is one of the main reason why we said in our presentation that it's costing $100 to responsibly recycle, because so our plan is that every state, starting with Victoria, the next plant would be in Queensland, then Perth, and then New South Wales. So all the regional New South Wales, regional Western Australia, regional Queensland, all these councils are assisting us. In fact, as of today, we have secured the council land in regional Victoria for 30-year lease term. So we are not going to spend money on transportation, because the ultimate aim is the landfill cost. It costs you $3 in wherever it is allowed in the landfill. Let's say Queensland, it costs you $3 per panel to put in the landfill, where it costs you $100 for the upcycle or recycle. So our ultimate aim is to make it cheaper than landfill, so people send it as a feedstock. So we will have 4 plants in 5 years, plus mobile plants. Mobile plants would be for the large solar farms like 500 megawatt, where we would just send it the plant on the truck there itself to mainly the process, so its transportation cost is as minimal as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great,
Patrick.
thanks, Pat. Over to you, Joe.
Yeah, just a quick question, Neeraj. Just interested to see how you make money. I mean, how do you charge? What are your revenue sources, costs? Can this be a profitable venture that's worth investing in?
Of course, Joseph. That's one thing. We had a long slide, but considering we just had to stick to the 3-slide limit, that is okay. Current valuation of Alexam is $55 million. PwC, as we mentioned about Australian government and ARENA, we have been successful with $5 million grant. The first plant project is roughly $16 million. PwC valuation, PwC on board to raise if we want to raise fund, or but valuation is 55 million. By 2027, the company valuation would be 137 million. How we make money? First, our money would come from the product which we are making it. The unique is about the product and about the people and process. Because we have got University of Melbourne, so some of the best concrete and the building material specialists we have, who are part of the Eureka and Burj Khalifa type of tower. So our money, solar panel will act as a feedstock. So we will get our revenue from selling those products, what we convert into material or the different metal. That's one. Second, we still would have a gate fee initial days. Government grants are there, but we still have a gate fee. And at present, if we talk about the South Australia, or there is a 2 or 3 major competition we have in this market. One is working along with University of New South Wales. They charge a gate fee of $20. The Canadian Solar we have collected on the basis of $11 spot fee. Long-term fee is like we are already charging like $3 or $5. So gate fee plus the material cost, what we will be selling at the site, that will make it 137 million because of the feedstock. Amount of the feedstock we will have by 2027, it's enormous.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you so much, Niraj. Okay, so we have James Stewart from FiberSense back on, so we might just give him an opportunity to take some questions from the judges. So James, if you want to come back on board, we'll give that a shot. Otherwise, we do have a couple of questions from the audience that I can ask the pitch participants. While we're waiting for James to come on, I will remind everyone that every one of the pitch participants here has a booth. I think most have a booth, or at least have the ability to chat with you. So make sure you get in touch with them. Make sure you pop your details in the live session. For the pitch participants, there's some questions coming up in the Q&A that you can go in and respond to. So James, we've got some questions from Pat and Joseph. If you want to come on, Raj, I'm going to say goodbye to you for now. But if we have time at the end, we can come back on for some more questions. James, how are you getting online? It sounds like we've had some technical difficulties at your end. But if we need to send through some questions from the judges out of session, then we might need to do that. We'll give a couple more minutes for James. And even if, James, if you can hear, you could also just type in the chat, in the backstage chat, and let us know. Okay, I don't think we're going to be able to get James back on, which is a shame, but we'll make sure that he's connected with the judges to ask those questions. So judges, maybe just scroll down what you have. I'm going to take some questions from the audience now. So there's one in here from Tulika, so I'll bring her back online. Okay, Tulika, a question from Sam Bailey. What is your company in need of? Are there any partnerships on the horizon? A comment, if the product performs as advertised, that's absolutely amazing. So yeah, are you looking for partnerships at the moment?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that question. We are very much looking for partnerships. We are looking for folks to collaborate with in terms of proving out the solution and providing commercial demonstrations for it. As you said, if the tech works, it's pretty amazing. We have our first couple of pilots secured, as I mentioned, here in Singapore and India. We would love to work with some partners in Australia as well in order to demonstrate the technology. We will also very much welcome, because hydrogen is actually an ecosystem. And as one of the panelists had also mentioned, we're on the generation side. There is a storage side. There is a fuel cell side. We have lined up fuel cell manufacturers that we cooperate with, for example, in this part of the world. We have lined up companies, and we're open to looking at folks who are trying to redesign the whole hydrogen and fuel cell solution. We're very interested in collaborations like those. At the end of the day, we're also a startup. We're an early stage startup. We have the backing of 2 early stage investors, and we are looking also for meeting investors to take our growth to the next level, and in order to build out our first 1 kg per day MVP system and do a few pilots with us. I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you, Tulika. I do have James, who seemed to be able to come on, but he's got a little bit of a delay. James, I'm hoping you can hear. Is there a connection to future fiber technologies, something like fibre sense from the 90s? Joe has to ask. Is there any connection to this? Thanks. So I think we haven't been able to get James on, and we might take it to a close there. But I'll make sure that James is connected to the judges and any questions there, and really encourage you to ask questions to James in the live session chat. So thank you so much for joining us for our Cleantech pitches. This is the final session for the pitches for the Expo. But tomorrow afternoon we'll announce the best Cleantech pitch at the closing session of the Expo. Now, between 4 and 5, we have some facilitated networking happening in our rooms, which you'll find on the left-hand side in the toolbar, the fourth icon down. We've got 3 themed sessions, which will be led by one of the Victorian Cleantech Cluster board members, and a whole range of different discussions. Some of our members will be involved there as well. We've got a session on expanding internationally, finding finance, one on creating partnerships, and another on how to build a business to last. So make sure you jump in there, have some conversations with people. It's a great way to network over a particular discussion piece. So thank you so much to our pitch participants for pitching. Apologies for a little bit of technical difficulty there, but I think we made it through. Have a great afternoon. Thanks so much.